Meghan Markle has never had a kind word for the royal family, and at this point, she's barely pretending otherwise. She has said things about that institution that nobody inside it has ever said out loud, on the biggest platforms a human being can get access to. A primetime interview watched by tens of millions, a 6-part Netflix series that became the biggest documentary debut that platform had ever had, a sit-down documentary filmed in the middle of an actual royal tour, which is like complaining about your boss in the company newsletter, and the family, who by tradition are not allowed to say one word back, just had to stand there and take all of it. That's the part everybody forgets. Every accusation she made landed in a room where nobody was permitted to answer. She said nobody asked if she was okay. She said she asked for help and got turned down. She said there was a conversation about her unborn son that she found deeply upsetting. She said her child was left with no title and no protection. So let's go through the lot of it, and then let's talk about whether these two could ever actually be working royals again, because that conversation is very much alive right now. Meghan Markle told a television crew during an official tour that not many people had asked whether she was okay. That's where this all really starts. She was doing a documentary in Africa with Harry, sat down with a journalist, and instead of the usual tour soundbites, she said she'd been warned by her British friends that the papers would destroy her life, that she hadn't understood what that meant, and that she was surviving rather than thriving.
Yeah, well, I guess, and also thank you for asking, because not many people have asked if I'm okay.
And listen, in normal celebrity terms, that's a fairly mild thing to say. In royal terms, absolute earthquake. Nobody in that family talks about their feelings on camera. Nobody admits they're struggling while representing the crown abroad. It made headlines in every country on earth, and it split Britain instantly. Half of them thinking she was brave for saying it, half of them thinking she'd hijacked an official trip to complain about her own reviews. Harry did his own bit in that same documentary, confirming he and William were on different paths, which was a whole other bomb dropped very quietly by a man who knew exactly what he was doing. Meghan Markle told Oprah Winfrey that she reached a point where she didn't want to be here anymore, and that when she asked the institution for help, she was told no. That's the one. Of everything she has ever said, that's the accusation with real weight to it. Because it isn't about hurt feelings or bad headlines. It's about somebody asking for support in a crisis and being turned away by an organization with unlimited resources. She described going to a senior person, saying she needed help, and being told it wouldn't be possible because of how it would look for the family. Now, the palace has never given a public account of that conversation, which means we have exactly one version of it, and that version is hers.
But I knew that if I didn't say it, that I would do it, and I just didn't want to be alive anymore.
But you can see why it hit the way it did. Every other claim in that interview is about status, protocol, and press. This one was about a person in trouble being told no by the people who were supposed to protect her. There's no protocol argument that fixes that. Meghan Markle said that while she was pregnant, there were concerns and conversations within the family about how her son might look when he arrived. She did not name who said it. Harry didn't either. And that's the detail that turned this into a 5-year guessing game, because the entire country immediately started playing detective with a short list of about 8 people. And I promise you, every single one of them knows they're on it.
Concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he's born.
What?
Harry did later clarify 2 things. He said it wasn't the Queen and it wasn't Prince Philip, which narrowed things considerably. And he told Anderson Cooper afterwards that he'd describe it as unconscious bias rather than anything deliberate, which is a meaningfully softer framing than most people remember. The identity has never been officially confirmed, and probably never will be. But the damage was instant, and it was permanent, because you cannot unring that bell. And every single member of that family has been quietly living under that suspicion ever since. All of them, including the ones who definitely didn't say it. Meghan Markle said the palace decided her son would not be a prince and would not receive security, and she connected those 2 things in a way the family has never forgiven. Her argument was that this wasn't just about a title, that a title comes with protection, and that without one, her child was left exposed.
So we have in tandem the conversation of he won't be given security, he's not going to be given a title.
She also said she was told the rules were being changed specifically for him. The counter-argument, which the palace never made publicly, but which royal watchers made loudly on its behalf, is that this is simply how the system has worked since 1917, that grandchildren of a monarch get those styles automatically, and great-grandchildren generally don't, and that Archie became a prince the moment his grandfather became king anyway, which he did. Both of those things are true at the same time, and that's the trouble with this entire story. There is almost always a boring administrative explanation sitting right next to a genuinely painful experience, and neither one cancels out the other. Meghan Markle went back and said the whole thing over again on Netflix, and that's the choice the family found hardest to forgive. The 6-part series arrived in December 2022 and became the biggest documentary debut the platform had ever had, over 23 million views. Then, a month later, came Harry's memoir, which went a great deal further than she ever had, including a physical confrontation with his brother and a claim about Afghanistan that upset a lot of veterans. So in the space of about 5 weeks, that family absorbed a Netflix series and a tell-all book, back-to-back, with no right of reply to either. And here's my honest read on why that broke things beyond repair. The Oprah interview could be filed away as a one-off, a couple in crisis speaking out once. The Netflix series turned it into a format. It said, "This is a business now. We will be telling this story repeatedly, and there is no version of the future where we stop."
It's like I was a hugger. I've always been a hugger. I didn't realize that is really jarring for a lot of Brits.
And that, I'd argue, is the moment William stopped picking up the phone. Meghan Markle's complaint about the British press is the one thing in this entire story that somebody actually sat down and measured, and the numbers back her up. A newspaper content analysis went through 843 articles about her and found roughly twice as many negative stories as positive ones. Over the same window, Catherine's coverage came out around 45% positive and only about 8% negative. A separate data analysis found Meghan pulled 132% more negative coverage than Catherine across a single year. And then there's the survey of British journalists themselves, where half of them said they'd seen coverage of Meghan they considered offensive in tone. And among Black journalists, that figure was 87%. 87. These are people describing their own industry. Whatever you think of her, and plenty of people think plenty, that is not a woman imagining a pattern. That pattern was real. It was documented. And somebody counted it. Meghan Markle sued a British newspaper group and won, which is the part her critics tend to skip past very quickly. The paper published a private letter she'd written to her own father. She took them to the High Court over privacy and copyright, and she won there, and won again on appeal. She got £1 in nominal damages, a much larger undisclosed sum for the copyright, roughly 90% of her costs, and a statement on their front page. On the front page. Harry's been on his own run too, winning against one newspaper group, and then getting a full and unequivocal apology, plus a reported 8-figure settlement out of another. So here's the honest scoreboard. Almost every claim she made about the family is contested, unprovable, or has two sides to it. But the claim she made about the press is the one she took to a courtroom and had confirmed. That distinction gets lost constantly, and it matters. Meghan Markle returning as a working royal is a question people keep asking, and the honest answer right now is no. But here's where things actually stand. Harry and his father have been slowly repairing things. Tea at Clarence House, a private family day at Highgrove where Charles saw his grandchildren for the first time in years. Warm, quiet, no cameras, no statement afterwards. Exactly how that man prefers to do things. But William is the holdout, and everyone knows it. And every time the palace gets asked about status, the answer comes back identical. No change, no duties, no half in, half out, which is the exact arrangement the late Queen refused in the first place, and Charles has never once shown any appetite for revisiting. There's also the small matter that Britain has not forgiven her. Her numbers are at record lows. So could it happen? A private thaw? Absolutely, that's already happening. Working royals with patronages and engagements? Not while William is standing between them and the job. And he's the one who gets it next.